Good day, good day, good day, good day, good day, and welcome to the Impact Investing Show. I hope that you guys are well, and I hope that you are joining us well also. I'm looking extremely forward to tonight's show. We've got a lot to cover, a lot to uncover. We've got news articles tonight and a whole bunch of other stuff to jump into. So like I said, I hope you are ready to go. Let me know in the chat, guys. Let me know in the chat. Just throw a chat message inside of the chat and let me know how you heard about the show. If you're someone who's back again, you've been on one of the impact investing shows before, then feel free to just let us know in the chat by writing back again. If you're someone who's brand new, feel free to write the word new so we can welcome you into the community. The chat is there for you guys. The chat is there for the impact investing community to engage with one another, to talk to one another, to connect with one another, and to grow in terms of your own property endeavors and dealings. Guys, I'm looking extremely forward to tonight's show for a number of reasons, but one of those reasons is because some of the articles we are going to be looking at in order to move forward in tonight's show. So I really hope that you guys are looking forward to that. Now, what's been happening in your property business? Okay, that's a question that every now and then I think every investor should be asking himself, what's actually been happening in my own property business? A lot of the time we live in a world where things are very insular. People are on their own doing things all by themselves. So it's important to always check in and say to yourself, you know, what's been happening in my property business? Have we been productive? Have we been successful? Have we been moving forward? Have we been pushing the envelope? Or actually, have we just been having drama? So guys, first and foremost, let me welcome you to the show. A great big welcome to every single person who's engaging with us. This is the Impact Property Show. This is the show where you get creative property investing on demand. The reason this show was actually created, and we're now currently on episode 34. I can't even actually believe it. We're coming to the end of the year. We're in December, and we are very speedily getting to that breaking point where we tip out of this year into next year. And just to think that this show started early in the year, around the period of March, where we had a number of people reaching out, coaching clients, students, investment clients, saying to me, Samuel, how do I do this? How do I do that? Asking me questions about their property investment journey and trying to find out what they need to do in order to move forward. And I said to the team, you know what, it's really unmanageable to be able to answer every single person's questions every single time. So how can we do this? How can we make this happen regardless of this current climate where people are in lockdown and there's these, rumors of pandemics, etc.? What can we do to actually support the community? And my team came up with a great idea. They said, you know what, Samuel, just make yourself available as you usually do. And we decided to do that through means of this medium right here, video, a live video, where we jump on the show and we basically come to answer your specific questions. So as I mentioned, today's episode 34. Last week, we had our first ever guest, Paul Roberts, which was absolutely amazing. And what we're probably going to be doing is maybe every other week from now on, we will have a guest on the show dealing with specific areas of property investment so that they can come on and also answer some of your questions and help you move forward in terms of your property investing journey. Our whole objective is to help you move further, faster in your creative property investing engagement. So without further ado, if you are new to the show, jump in the chat, say hi, let us know that you are here and you want to engage and you want to learn and you've got questions, etc., so that we can basically grow as a community all together, which is what we're looking forward to. It's what we want to do. It's what we want to help you do as well. We want to help you move forward in your property investing journey. So guys, let us know what you've been doing in property, what you've been getting up to, and also don't forget to leave a comment and say hi in the chat so we know that you are with us on tonight's show. Guys, as I've mentioned, I'm looking extremely forward to tonight's show. We've got a lot to cover, news articles, etc. Really looking forward to jumping into some of those and discussing some of those, speaking about some of those, and basically sharing kind of what's really taking place in the property sector and how certain metrics have an effect and have an impact on our property journeys, which sometimes people do not even think about or consider. So like I said, throw a hi in the chat, let us know where you're tuning in from, and let us know how you heard about the show if you are new. Now, without further ado, what I'm going to do is I'm going to jump in, read our disclaimer, get rid of the red tape, and then straight after that we're going to jump straight into some of the news articles. Tonight we are going to be opening the phone lines as usual, so we'll be basically sharing with you guys answers to questions of people who have specific questions. So first and foremost, our disclaimer: all information provided and results given are exemplary. Each person's results may vary or differ. Results are based on consistent implementation of strategies, and we advise that you always seek legal and financial advice from a qualified professional. And again, if you need to get connected with a qualified professional, let us know. Okay, we'll be able to help you, hook you up, connect you, etc., etc., etc. Now, I want to also express a bit of appreciation right now, and the reason why is because we blasted past 300 subscribers. Okay, now it's interesting because, again, obviously we invited a guest last week. Side by side with that, I had a number of people when we hit the 250 mark. A lot of people were like really pushing for us to move forward, and I think that's how we went from 250 to 300 in such a short period of time. So again, massive appreciation, great big thank you to every single person who tunes in, whether you tune in for these live shows or whether you are one of our Monday viewers. It's interesting, we get the Saturday viewers and we get the Monday viewers. So we get the people who view with us on the weekend, they jump on the live show, they're with us for an hour or more on the live show, and then we get the people who are in the weekday, they want to go watch the videos that we upload on the week. So guys, regardless of whether you're someone who likes the short videos, the little 10 to 15 minute videos that we drop on the Mondays, or whether you're someone who really appreciates these longer form videos where we're answering your questions in the live show on the Saturday, or even if you're one of those people who like the shorts, we started recently doing short videos which are less than a minute, 58 seconds usually. And if you're one of the people who's been pressing like on those videos, again, we appreciate you guys. Every single person who's decided to subscribe and be a part of our community, we massively, massively, massively appreciate you. It's you that helps the words that we're sharing through means of creative property investment, through means of what we're doing at the Impact Property Show, to go further and to do that faster as well, by sharing with the YouTube algorithm that this is content of value and that it should go to more people. So a great big thank you to every single person who's allowed us, helped us and supported us to get to 300 subscribers and beyond. And I say that in advance because I know we're going further. So to all of our subscribers and for all of the comments on how to improve the show as well, we really, really appreciate you guys. You know, just having one comment makes a massive difference. So in light of that, before we jump into the first news article, I've got a statement. I've got something I want to bring up, okay, and I want to know your views on this. Okay, so this is to the community. It's not for me, this is for the community, and I want to know the community's views on this. Okay, and a great big welcome to Sandra McIntosh. She says she's new to the show, so a great big welcome to you, Sandra. Great to have you on the show. Great to see you tuning in. Let us know, Sandra, in the chat where you heard about the Impact Property Show and kind of how you decided to jump on. Now, here's what I'm going to throw out to the community. As we've recently hit 300 subscribers, those of you who've been following us for a period of time before we had even 100 subscribers will know that every time we hit certain benchmarks, I like to give the community something back. So when we hit, I think it was 100 or 50 subscribers, one of them, we did an exclusive video, and I took a video that I'd recorded for my inner circle coaching clients. And these are coaching clients who are paying 12,000, 15,000 to spend time, a 12-month period with me in order to coach them, support them to move forward in their property journey. And one of those coaching clients was a real beginner in his journey. At the beginning of his journey, he asked me a powerful question. And what I did is I thought, you know what, better than just, you know, sending him an audio message through means of our proprietary system that we use, or better than doing, creating a module, I thought it would be really, really powerful to create a video just for that particular coaching client's question. And I did that. So I created that specific video for that coaching client. And about a week later, you know, thankfully, gratefully, you know, I don't believe in coincidence, but a week later, miraculously, if I use that terminology, we hit 100 subscribers. I believe it was 100. And when we hit the 100 subscribers, I said to the community, what I'm going to do for you is I'm going to release this video where I break down how to do headline figures on a property deal, which was a question that came from my inner circle member. So that video was released on our YouTube channel, and I want to do the same thing for 300 subscribers, because I feel like on this road to building this YouTube channel for the community to help people understand more about property investing, but not just property investing the traditional way, but the actual creative way, the way that I speak about a lot of the time, the way I was taught in 2005 and beyond, I want to do something different. So we are planning something, okay? Something I haven't really shared with the community, but I'm going to share with you guys now, all right? And I would like to know what your thoughts would be. So all you need to do, if you're interested, is write the word yes in the chat when I share this. Or if you think it would not be worth it, just write the word no in the chat. But what I'm thinking of doing is, some of you would realize on the Saturday shows, every now and then we broadcast from a studio. Okay, and then every now and then we broadcast from my actual office. Okay, so we've got two different settings we've been broadcasting from. We've broadcasted from a studio setting, and we've also broadcasted from my office setting. Now, the way you can usually tell the difference is, in my office, I've got my mic on a stand, excuse the noise if you heard that. But I've got my mic on a stand. We got the IP banner on the mic, etc. So in the studio, it's a little bit different. In the studio, I usually have the mic on the table, and very rarely you see that mic. That's a real big microphone. A very a different kind of microphone. That microphone is a heavy duty, ready for workhorse microphone. So we've got these two different settings where we've broadcasted to offer you guys value. And what we're thinking of actually doing is transitioning a little bit and going exclusively into a studio. Okay, but the difference is, if we go exclusively into a studio, it's not going to be the studio where we've been broadcasting from previously. This is going to be what we call a purpose built studio. So the question to the community is this: would you find value in us showing you how we take a space, a dormant space, and turn that into the specific studio slash probably editing office for the YouTube channel? Would you be interested in that? Would you, if we created a series of videos, 3 or 4 videos around that whole transformational process of how we take a derelict space and how we convert that into a purpose-built studio for our YouTube subscribers in order to add value to you guys? If you think that would be of value, just hit or type the word yes in the chat. If you don't think it will be of value to the channel, you can write the word no in the chat. Let me know. Okay, let me know. I'm interested in finding out. Okay, and Sandra says thank you. A friend sent her the link. Powerful. All right, the power of friends, guys. And this is why I say every single week, guys, if you're getting value from the show, hit share. Let other people know about the show so they can get the value that we are getting also in their own life, in their own property journey, etc., etc., etc. So without further ado, let's jump in deeper. I'm going to jump into the news and look at a few things that's been taking place in the property sector, which may have an effect on yourself, myself, and all of us as investors as things go by. So I'll be interested in having a look at that. And then side by side with that, we'll pop into a few other things. So hopefully I should be able to get this news article up, and then that will give us a great opportunity to push forward with the show. So let me know in the chat, guys. I'm still waiting for some responses on this. Let me know in the chat if you think it will be of value if we share with you how we create from a derelict space the YouTube studio that we're going to be using in order to broadcast going forward. So that's been one of my intentions recently, just to basically start working from a purpose-built space to help you guys get even more value. You know, just to help you guys get exactly, you know, what the show's been intended for you to receive, which is creative property investing on demand. So our whole thought process has been, how can we do that? How can we do that better for you guys? How can we do that more regularly for you guys? How can we create an environment where it's really plug and play? We hit the button and we're out, you know, we're streaming out live straight away. So we want to do that for you guys. We assume you guys want that done for you as well. So, you know, it will be a win-win in that sense of things. But in order to do that, again, let us know, guys. If you think that'll be of value, let us know, and we'll be happy to jump into that with you guys. Now, I'm not sure if this is not showing or if it's showing, but it's not showing properly. So let me try and do this. This will hopefully help. Yes, it is showing. Okay, so let's do this. Great stuff. Now, hopefully you guys will be able to see this in a moment. Okay, that's the reason why. Apologies, guys. This particular website has a video playing. So because the video is actually playing in it as well, this is why it's a bit sketchy, if I use that terminology. All right, so you guys should be able to see this on the screen right now. This is a article that was produced on the Cornwall Live website. It's a news article, and it says headline figure is Universal Credit increase decision delay as benefits go up just 37p a week. Okay, so there was a decision delay. This was last week this article came out. You can see it's on the 25th of November 2020. Obviously our star man, tongue in cheek I guess, Rishi Sunak is basically the face here in terms of the video, and it says Rishi Sunak tells House of Commons government must make tough choices during spending review. And last view, let me even read the subtitle before I go into the last week's article and what was basically said. It says, in his spending review, Rishi Sunak dealt a blow to people who claim benefits. Okay, so let me just read part of the article for you guys to get a gist of how this now has an effect on property investors, and specifically I'd say the tenants, your tenant type, the tenants that you're bringing into the properties, and how you can work with them, utilize them to get the best offering for them, but also, be remunerated for it. It says the Chancellor has dealt a blow to people who claim benefits as he worked the country's economic emergency has only just started. I'll read that again. The Chancellor has dealt a blow to people who claim benefits as he worked the country's economic emergency has only just started. In his spending review, Rishi Sunak raised 2 million people's benefits by just 37p a week in April as he started to pay for the pandemic. It says grim-faced Mr. Sunak declared at a time of unprecedented crisis, that term they just continue to use, the unprecedented term, government must make tough choices. He added, our health emergency is not over and our economic emergency has only just begun. So-called legacy benefits, as well as those of carers and some other payments, will rise by only 0.5%. The latest rate of CPI inflation for 2021/22. It says that means a rise of just 37p a week to the £74.35 standard rate of job seekers allowance or sickness and disability benefit employment and support allowance. Those benefits together are claimed by around 2 million people, many of them sick or disabled. They include some of the most vulnerable people in society. Now look, one of the biggest mistakes we make a lot of the time when we see media articles, and I speak about this a lot on the show, is we don't take those media articles from a holistic perspective. What we do is we look at one aspect of that media article and we don't always ask ourselves how that connects with other things. So let me start breaking some things down, because hopefully this is going to be extremely helpful for you guys as viewers and also all of us as investors. Now, if you are one of those people who serve the DSS environment, who serve the DSS framework of tenants, and I'm going to break this down so most of you can get a good idea of what we're talking about. All right, there are generally 4 tenant types. Okay, not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4. Okay, there are generally 4 tenant types. All right, and I'm going to share with you exactly who those 4 tenant types are for you guys to have a better understanding of how things generally tend to work. Okay, and then when I break that down, I'll then transition into a few other things to help you guys see exactly why this is important. All right, so let's start from the top. All right, what are the 4 main tenant types? Okay, and obviously if you're someone who deals with HMOs, you're going to understand exactly what I'm talking about. The first tenant type, okay, are effectively the unemployed, the people who are on job seekers allowance, DSS tenants, etc., etc. Now, again, all of what I'm going to say is not about someone's character. It's not about how people act as human beings. It's not a demographical review. No, it's just the indication from an investor's perspective of how you need to look at or classify your tenant types. Okay, and there's nothing wrong with serving any of these 4 tenant types. It's totally up to you. But the first group of tenants that you could consider potentially renting out your property to are unemployed people, DSS people generally who are going to utilize some form of benefit in order to pay you. Now that might be part benefit, full benefit, doesn't make a difference. But the point is they are using benefits in order to make those payments on a month-to-month basis. So that's the first group of people on benefits, DSS, job seekers, etc. The second is effectively kind of the polar opposite. When we talk about financial, we're now talking about the professional. Now the professional are people who have employment through means of qualification and above. So these are people generally who have got first class, not first class as in the standard, but they've got degrees. These are people who have a degree, people who have master's levels of qualification, and they're working in the workforce. So as a result, those people have professional qualifications and they're utilizing them in their employment. So their salaries generally are going to be 24k or above per annum. All right, so there's obviously unemployed professionals. A third group of people that you may have housing as tenants are kind of blue collar workers, the people that are in retail. They're in work, but they're not necessarily in the kind of work that we'd assume is the most highest paying work. So these are probably the majority of people in the UK. So these are people who are working in factories, maybe people who are working for Amazon, maybe obviously at a certain level. These are people who are working, doing the standard roles across our society that we see on a day-to-day basis. All right. And thank you, Antonio Philip. I see your comment, your yes for the value in terms of the transformation video, the refurbishment, etc. So these are that's the third group of people. Okay, people that are working your traditional retail jobs, etc. And then the fourth group of people are students. Okay, so generally if you're thinking about setting up a HMO, for example, and you're thinking, okay, what tenant type should I take? Well, you should really be thinking about that before you start deciding to take on a HMO, for example. But the point is, whenever you are going to start renting out your property, whenever you're going to create a property, you should be thinking to yourself, okay, what kind of tenant do I want to serve? Do I want to serve the kind of tenant who is a job seekers allowance person, someone who doesn't have a job, who's looking for employment? Do I want to serve someone who's a student? Do I want to serve someone who's a professional? Do I want to serve someone who's into the retail industry or some similar industry like that? You've got to ask yourself that question. Now, why is this important? This is important for several reasons. One of the reasons this is important is because many of those people who are job seekers, many of those people who are looking for work, are people that are going to be affected by this 37p increase by Rishi Sunak. Okay, and we've got to be mindful of that, because if we're not mindful of that, we will not bear in mind that whilst the country, whilst the world specifically, are saying they're going through the most challenging time ever, whilst the world tells us that this is the most challenging time, the most unprecedented, which is the term they continuously use, whilst this is the most unprecedented time in this, in this nation's history, in the last 2 decades, 3 decades, last decade, etc., what we can very, very quickly forget is that a 37p a week increase in a benefit, let me use that terminology, may not be anything close to what's specifically needed for a tenant to be able to manage in the current climate. Now, let me add a few things in which some people may not actually be thinking about, which I think might be helpful for this conversation as well. All right. The first thing I'm going to add in is marketing through means of the mainstream media at the beginning of this year was very heavy towards landlords taking not eviction holidays, taking mortgage holidays. Okay. Now, why is this important? This is extremely important for several reasons. But one of the main reasons it's important is because if you think about it, whilst the whole country was being marketed to and being convinced that what they should actually be doing is taking a mortgage holiday, okay, many of the country's tenants were actually DSS tenants. Many of the country's tenants who were being served were DSS tenants. Now, why is this interesting? This is interesting because if your primary tenant base, if your primary tenant clientele are people who are on benefit, and you decided for some reason, okay, due to the marketing of mainstream media, that you were going to take a mortgage holiday, okay, and decided that a mortgage holiday would work for you, a mortgage holiday would make sense for you, this is what you have to be very, very mindful about right now. You need to be mindful about the fact that when you took that mortgage holiday, there is an expectation for you to pay the money back. Okay, now how do you generally pay money back that you owe? You pay money back that you owe based on increased revenue that tends to come in. Now, if for some reason the person who was seeking a job said that they could not pay you for a period of time because they needed to allocate those funds to their bills or something else, and you've decided to now take a mortgage holiday due to the heavy press releases and the marketing that was taking place, and now you're going to have to pay that money back at some stage in the life of your mortgage, and you're expecting that tenant to be the person to support you or help you and assist you in doing that, and then this tenant now has a 37p a week increase, that doesn't work. That equation doesn't work because they're not in a position where they've increased their benefit by 10%, 4%, 5%, 3%, which may actually be the relative hit on you. And this is something many people do not think about. This is something many people just think, you know what, it is what it is. It will be what it will be. And when they're being heavily marketed to about taking mortgage holidays, they don't realize the knock-on effects, the ramifications of this. So that's the first one. Second point, which I think is extremely important, okay? The second point is the eviction holidays. The simple fact that for many people, they've been prohibited from evicting tenants for an extreme period of time. And this only ended basically at the beginning of last month, which again, we reported on one of the previous episodes of the Impact Property Show. So guys, I want you to have all of these things in mind. I want you to be thinking about this. I want you to realize that, you know what, we could potentially, if we just follow what we're being told, we could potentially end up in a lose-lose situation. Okay, and that's the one thing you don't want. That's the one thing nobody wants. You don't want your back against the wall in a lose-lose situation. You want to diversify. You want to put yourself in a great position. So when we talk about tenant types, for example, one of the ways you can protect yourself is by having a diverse tenant type. You can have a portfolio of properties with a diverse tenant type, not only having professional tenants because you assume they're going to be fantastic. And look, those of you who know me, you know, I invest in and around the Canary Wharf area. I can guarantee you, I was speaking to someone yesterday, the owner of an IT firm, and we were laughing about different things that have been taking place this year. And he says to me something which was very serious. He says, if you go to the city of London right now, he said the city is basically empty. He said there are multiple office floors that are closing down, basically getting rid, throwing away their furniture. Now, I haven't been to the city lately to see this, but he is in the city probably once every 2 weeks, and he's telling me that, listen, Samuel, it's not a good picture. Now, the reason I want to bring this up and I want to share this with you guys is because some people only have professional tenants. You know, professional tenants are the best tenants because of the fact that they've got high incomes or whatever, etc. Guys, it's about diversification. It's about not putting all of your eggs in one basket. It's about not just saying, okay, look, I do these kind of deals. Why can't you try other kind of property deals? Why can't you look at short lease opportunities? Why can't you look at rent to rent opportunities? Why can't you look at lease option opportunities? Why can't you look at any of the 30 ways that we break down in the resource 30 ways in 30 days? Why can't you look at other ways of doing things rather than being the one trick pony, which is the traditional way of doing property? So guys, we're going to open up the phone line in a moment. Just before we do that, I want to share another article with you again. Just some interesting news that I've come across recently. And I just think, you know, this stuff, it really, it irks me to a degree. So let me just throw it out like that. All right. And guys, thank you for the engagement in the chat. The chat is popping off. We've got people saying a whole bunch of stuff. We've got Antonio. He says, sounds great. Guys, keep it coming, guys. Keep it coming. Keep letting me know in the chat your thoughts on especially what we're talking about as well with regards to the news and all of these other things. So this was an article by the Sun, okay, in the Sun paper. Very, for those of you who are not our UK viewers, you are tuning in from Australasia, America, anywhere else. The Sun newspaper is one of the main tabloid newspapers in the UK. Now, this article, I'm just going to jump straight into it. This was another one that was released last week. You can see here, the video is actually from the 5th of November. That's the video inside. It says cash support, self-employment, cash support, self-employed grant to increase up to 7,500, Rishi Sunak announces. And that was announced on the 5th of November, 2020. But let's go into the article to see a bit more. It says self-employed people unable to work will be able to claim grants for up to £7,500. And again, bear in mind, this is people who are unable to work. The Chancellor has announced the third grant covering November to January will now be calculated using 80% of trading profits. Okay, guys, you need to bear in mind the stipulations they place on this. Okay, it goes on to say Rishi Sunak also confirmed that the furlough scheme would be extended until March of 2021. Now, that's not a surprise, is it? Why would that not be a surprise? It's not a surprise because when did they actually state the stamp duty holiday will take place? Up until March of 2021. You know, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to understand why these people are correlating these things, but let's keep going. It means that if Scotland or Wales decides to go into another circuit breaker lockdown in future, they will get cash help from the UK Treasury. On Saturday, Boris Johnson told the Commons today he would be doubling the amount of support for those who work for themselves to get them through the month-long winter shutdown. Previously, self-employed workers were only set to receive government grants worth 40% of average monthly profits. Please see this, guys, because a lot of people don't understand why government benefits happen and work the way they work. Now, you think of it like this. If you're trading at 100,000 a year, a lockdown takes place and you are targeted by the government to have to shut down, okay, and I use my word specifically, and after being targeted by the government to have to shut down as a property investor or whatever else you are, let's just say property investor for now to make it make sense for all of us, they then say to you they're willing to give you 40%, okay, in order to help you with your trading. Okay, now 40% is great, but for most people, 40% doesn't even cover their overheads, And how do I know this? Well, I know this because just by proxy, people are usually told to utilize 33% as a cap of spending for their premises, their housing, etc. So if you follow that guideline, for example, which most people do and many people exceed, if you are using a third of your revenue to actually pay for your premises, then 40% of a bursary or 40% of support is not going to help you at all, because your premises takes up 33% of that and you've got 7% left. So again, think about these things. But here's the kicker. From March all the way to October, the government's offering 40% of support of your revenue. And now in October, they're now offering you 80%. Why does this make sense? Well, it makes sense because the majority of business owners would have been wiped out in that 2-quarter, 6-month period. Okay. And I want you to bear that in mind. Obviously, if many of the businesses have swamped, if many of those businesses can't continue to trade, then by the time they offer this 80% remuneration, many of those businesses do not exist anymore in order to take that money and use it in their property business or any other business. But let's keep going. It says previously, I'll go back for the other one. On Saturday, Boris Johnson told the Commons today he would be doubling the amount of support for those who work for themselves in order to get them through the month-long winter shutdown. Previously, self-employed workers were only set to receive government grants worth 40% of average monthly profits from November through to January 2021. The latest grant was set to be worth £3,750, but was increased to £5,160. It meant self-employed workers would have received 55% of trading profits for the next 3 months, including 80% of trading profits in November. So on average, they're saying it would have averaged out to a 55% of trading profits in order for them to be helped. Guys, we have to understand what's actually taking place here. All right? If you are a business owner, you will understand exactly what I'm talking about. 40% of your overheads, of your revenue, is not necessarily going to help you keep afloat. So you need to be doing things more creatively. You need to be taking some different steps in order to make your revenue make sense. And guys, this is what we're here for. This is why we speak about it all of the time. The Impact Property Show, the Impact Property channel. We are created to help you understand creative property investing and to give you creative property investing on demand. So with all of that being said, it's that time. We're going to open up the phone line. For those of you who want to call in, all you need to do is utilize the phone number that is on the screen on the ticker below. That's 0333, no, excuse me, 0330 606 0403, 0330 606 0403, and the access code is on the screen also. So feel free to jump in, give us a call, use the access code, and let us know exactly what your thoughts are as it pertains to property. What are your challenges? What challenges are you currently facing? What property challenges are you currently dealing with? Do you have challenges around the new changes? Do you have challenges around what to do? Do you have challenges around strategy? What are your specific property challenges? Let us know through means of calling in, and we'll basically be able to touch base on them, discuss them, and give you guys some insights and strategies in terms of what we potentially would be doing in order to move forward if we were in that predicament also. So guys, what's your thoughts on the articles? Let us know in the chat. Let us know in the live chat. Let us know if you're watching this on replay. Let us know in the chat below. What's your thoughts on a 37p per week increase for people who are job seekers, for people who are on benefits? What's your thoughts on a slight increase in terms of the self-employed? What are your thoughts on that? Do you think that these are justified changes? Do you think these are the kind of changes that need to take place? Or do you think that really, guys, it's a little bit too little, a little bit too late? What are your thoughts? Because time and time again, this stuff happens. Time and time again, this stuff happens where people act as though they're doing things in the best interest of the nation or doing things in the best interest of people. And, sometimes we've got to ask the question, is that really the truth? Is that really what is taking place? Is that really what is happening? Okay. And sometimes the answer is, it's not the truth. Sometimes the answer is, it's not really what's taking place. But again, at the same time, you know, as a mentor said to me years ago, I share it with people all the time. The one thing we learn from history is that most of the time we do not learn from history. So guys, I want to change that for you. I want you to be the kind of person who uses history as a benchmark, uses history as a teacher, uses history as an advisor and a counselor, and basically make sure that you make things happen the way they're supposed to happen. Like, make things happen the right way and not the wrong way. But the only way we can do that is if we understand what actually happened historically and what has been happening historically in order for us to win moving forward. So guys, let's be the group of people that do that. Let's be the group of people who know how to do that, and a group of people that are going to make that happen. All right, so guys, feel free to call in 0330 and you can utilize the access code as well that's on the screen, 695922. All right, guys, we will be taking calls, and we are happy to give you guys insights in terms of what we will be doing specifically in our property journey to make sure that we are not going to be falling foul of all of this drama that is actually taking place for the rest of the world. And side by side with that, guys, if you're getting value from the show so far, feel free to hit like, and if you haven't already, press the subscribe button, become a subscriber to the community, become a part of what we're doing, so you can be notified every single time that we drop a video, usually on Mondays every single week, and every single time that we go live, which is Saturday 6 p.m. GMT currently. So guys, we're here for you. We're here to help you move forward in your property journey. So let's do that together. All right, let's see if anyone's going to call him, and whilst you guys do that, I'm going to jump into the chat and see what you guys have been saying. We've also got a few key resources for today's show as well, so if you're interested in moving forward in your property journey, today's show is the one where you will get those resources to help you move forward. All right, we got Yogesh in the chat. Yogesh said, is there a guest tonight? If so, who please? There will not be a guest on tonight's show. Tonight's show is just with your host, Samuel Ikemwin. So apologies if you were expecting a guest. We'll probably have a guest in the next couple of weeks. Again, we're putting together a guest rota so we can have some regular guests, not every single week, but at least maybe once every 2 weeks. We do want to actually bring a number of my friends on. Those of you who know me from when I used to host a networking event, I've got hundreds of property friends, so many people that love to add value to the community. So I thought it would make sense to start bringing them onto the show as well. So we will be doing that over the next couple of weeks. We got a hi from Yogesh. Yogesh, hi to you as well. Antonio says, sounds great. Thank you, Antonio. Great to have you on the show. Comments from Sandra. Great to see you on the show, Sandra. Antonio says, yes, he thinks it will be a great idea in order for us to actually do the journey, show you guys the video journey of how we create the purpose-built YouTube space. Yeah, I'd be happy to do that. If you guys are interested, let us know. We got also Kimwin in the chat. Thank you. Good sounds. If you can, would be a value. Excellent. That's amazing. So again, other people who think it would be great for us to actually show you guys the journey of how we actually build out the purpose-built YouTube space. We also got Israel in the chat. Great to see you, Israel. He says, agree. I believe he was talking about the part where we were talking about the government and how much they're giving, and also the self-employed bursaries and whether they make sense. Or like I said, maybe a little too late. But guys, this is the world we're living in. This is definitely the world we're living in. So guys, feel free to let me know in the chat if there's specific things in terms of property that have been on your mind, specific things in terms of challenges that you've been working with. And side by side with that, as I mentioned earlier, the phone lines are open now on the ticker below, which is right here. So feel free to utilize the telephone number and the access code. You can call in and ask any questions you have live on the show, and we will be happy to help you guys move forward in terms of your property investing journey. So let us know if you have any specific property questions you'd like us to answer for you. So guys, we're here for you. Let's make this happen. We are here for you. Let's make this happen. All right, cool. So in regards to the article that we shared last, one of the questions that have been coming up, and this question came up previously when we did the show speaking specifically about self-employed and the different classifications of property investors. Again, obviously some property investors are classified as self-employed. Many other property investors are not classified as self-employed, but they're actually classified as directors of businesses where they might be on their PAYE rota, for example. So one of the questions is, are property investors actually able to tap into these funds, these bursaries, these funds that are being made available through means of the government? And the answer to that is totally yes, as long as you have the appropriate structure. Okay, so I'll say that again. Yes, you can, as long as you have the appropriate structure. So some people don't have the appropriate business structure behind the scenes. So they might be doing property investing, but they don't have the appropriate business entity in place, or they don't have the appropriate certifications as a self-employed person in place. They haven't done their annual tax records, etc. So one of the things you have to bear in mind is you have to have things in place in order for you to be able to tap into these revenue sources. Okay, and one of the ways that I would encourage you guys to do that is go and seek, again, an accountant, a qualified accountant who can help you with that. A qualified accountant can get your business in the right shape and help you to understand how to do that. Now, one of the things I recommend, again, I'm always going to recommend this, is that if you do take on an accountant in your property business, try to ensure that that specific accountant is someone who currently invests in property themselves, someone who has invested, but also presently invests. Okay. Now, why would I say that? The reason I'd say that is because if somebody has invested in the past, they may not be up to date with the information relevant for the present. Okay, and that's very, very important. So I'd encourage you to make sure that if you are going to get a specific accountant to support you in your property business, you get someone who's currently investing in property, because by virtue of the fact that they're currently investing in property, that usually means that they keep up to date with what's taking place, especially in the accountancy world, because that's going to relate to them. It's going to actually be a self-serving feet in the first place. All right, so that's one of the ways that you protect yourself. You make sure that the power team you've got, and again, those of you who don't know, we've got the resource, the Team 10. This resource talks about the 10 key players that you need in your property investing business. In that specific resource, we talk about a number of people you want to add onto your power team. But the key is to try and make sure that as many of those 10 people are actually currently invested in property themselves. Because if all of those 10 people are currently active investing in property themselves, they will be keeping up to date around what's happening in their specific niche field more than anyone else in their niche field, because it relates to them, because it will have an effect on them, whether positive or negative. So you need to make sure that you're doing the same. You are seeking out qualified professionals, people that are utilizing the exact same framework in order to advance their own property investing endeavors. And if you're connecting with people like that who are doing that, that helps you, that pushes you forward to be able to be supported, because you've now got someone who's in your corner who understands exactly what they're doing, because of the fact that they're doing it for themselves also. So again, guys, this is something to really keep in mind and think about. Okay, how can I take full advantage in that regard? Okay, we've got a question coming in from Yogesh. I believe it's Yogesh who's asked that question. Cool. So Yogesh's question, Yogesh says, any tips on finding a high yielding property above 10% to buy for long-term hold when he has a little time, but happy to pay a fee, example HMOs? All right, so that's a fantastic question, Yogesh. Yogesh, what I'd throw out there to you is just to confirm for me, are we talking about cash flow when you speak about 10%? Because I assume we're talking about return on investment. I'm going to write this in the chat. For those of you who are new to property, you may not know some of these terms, but again, I'm just going to throw it in the chat. Are we talking about return on investment, which is also known as ROI? Okay, when you're asking that question, Yogesh, so you let me know in the chat if that's what you're talking about. Are we talking about return on investment, and specifically, are we talking about cash flow? Okay, in terms of return on investment. Okay, is that what we're talking about? All right, I've got a few comments coming in and a few questions coming in, which is fantastic. But we'll tackle Yogesh's question, and then we'll go on to KTR's question after. KTR, welcome to the show. Great to see you on again. All right, so Yogesh is asking a question. I'm going to assume, okay, because I rather than just in case. Okay, there's more than one question that came in. Okay, the questions are firing in. I didn't even notice. Okay, so let me try and tackle this first one before we get into the other questions. So Yogesh asks his question: any tips on finding a high yielding property above 10% to buy for long-term hold when he has a little time, but happy to pay a fee, example HMOs? Now, again, I could give you the blanket answer, find a sourcing agent who's reputable, from a sourcing company who generally find deals with over 10%. I'm going to give you something different, something a little bit different, something most people should be able to do. And the key to this is effectively add the value yourself. Okay, add the value yourself. Now, some of you will know we've got a video on the channel, which is called Restoring Value versus Adding Value. And in that video, I was basically breaking down the difference between restoring value to a property and adding value to a property. And the thing that's really interesting is I recently watched a video by a property trainer. And in the video, the lady was basically saying that, you can just put a new bathroom, a new kitchen, and a lick of paint across a house and then radically increase the value. And I don't believe that to be true. Okay, I believe that when you do new bathrooms, new kitchens, depending on spec, let me put that out there because I want it to be clear. I'm not just saying generally, but when you just do a new bathroom, a new kitchen on a house that already has a kind of okay bathroom or okay kitchen, you're not adding value to that property. All you're doing is what I would call restoring value. And for those of you who haven't seen that video, when you jump off the live stream, feel free to go and watch that on our channel. And I'll put a link in the description. It's not right now, but I'll put a link in the description later on after the show is finished. But that is what I'd say to you. I'd say it's all about adding value. And I would say to you, Yogesh, if you're thinking about trying to generate more than a 10% return, one of the keys to doing that is by potentially adding the value yourself. So again, I've spoken about, some of the property hacks that we use. I'll give you two just now. Again, one of them is probably more common, one of them's not. But again, there are properties which are very ripe for splitting them from 2-bed to 3-bedroom houses. Now, if you buy a 2-bed house with 2 receptions, which is in this specific framework I'm talking about, which is ripe for splitting from a 2-bed to a 3-bed, what you would then have is a 4-bed mini mo, or what you might call a HMO. I don't call those small properties HMOs because they're mini versions of a HMO. But again, the point is, if you have a house with 2 bedrooms upstairs, 2 solid receptions downstairs, and a very, very large kitchen, depending on the framework of that property, you could split one of the bedrooms upstairs into 2 bedrooms. You now have 3 bedrooms on the first floor. And then on the ground floor, if, like I said, the kitchen is large enough, the communal area and space and dining area in the kitchen is large enough, you can then have 2 additional rooms on the ground floor. So now you've just gone from a 2-bedroom house to a 5-bedroom multi-let. And this is very, very possible. But again, many people do not understand how you can do that. So that's the first hack. The first hack is room splitting and increasing bedrooms. The second hack is garage conversion. Okay, so again, you can take a garage, 6,500, 5,000, depending on where you are in the country. Obviously, if you're in London, probably more expensive, 15 to 12,000, between 12 and 15,000. But you can take a garage on a house and convert that into a living space, a viable living space. We're talking about, bedroom with an ensuite or bedroom with a bathroom, shower room, etc. So again, these are things that can be done. The team's saying I've got a caller coming through, so I'll take the call in a moment. But yeah, guys, these are things that can be done. These are little house hacks you can use where you add value to a property. And by virtue of adding the value, you put yourself in the best position in order for you to radically change what's actually taking place in the property. And as a result, just adding value always helps you to win more, helps you to get more value, etc., etc., etc. Yogesh just says in the chat, cash flow, yes. And he says ROI above 10%, return on cash above. So yes, 100%. So yeah, that's exactly what we're talking about. And it can be done. And I would say to you, Yogesh, one of the best ways to basically make that happen is to look into exactly what I've spoken about. Where can you add value yourself in order to basically take things to the next level? And it looks like our caller is actually Yogesh as well. So let's jump on the phone and see how we can answer Yogesh's question. Good evening, Yogesh.
Hello. How are you guys?
I'm good, Yogesh. How you doing?
Can you answer my question? Appreciate it.
Most
Another one if you have time.
Most welcome. We can definitely take your question on the phone. What I would say to you is your phone sounds like it's kind of slightly cracking up. I'm not sure if you're in a place with bad reception, but just a heads up in case I can't hear you later on. So, Yogesh, as I usually ask, are you happy for the people who are watching to hear exactly what you're going to share with us and obviously with the viewers? And side by side with that, are you happy for them to also hear what I'll be sharing with you in terms of what I would be doing if I was in your position also?
Yes.
Excellent. Fantastic. All right. So Yogesh, you are now live, I believe. So let us know, how can we help you?
I've got two questions. I'm thinking I'll ask this one first, which is I'm getting loads of messages via Facebook messaging and LinkedIn, WhatsApp groups and emails and phone calls, all related to property stuff. People want to, talk about deals or investment or ideas or propositions or just catch up or learn a bit more about me. And it's getting a bit too much for me to get back to everyone. I'm sure you must have a similar problem.
I had.
You had. I was just wondering how you do it without upsetting people or missing important things or without making sure the important stuff gets through and gets to you, but not. I don't know. You can't take everything with phone calls. So yeah, how you get everything that you want to come through to you, okay, but filter out so it's done in a way that helps your business. I suppose. I hope that makes sense.
I think it makes sense. Powerful question. And I'm going to share this with everybody again, just in case you guys can't hear Yogesh. I assume you all can. But Yogesh just asked an extremely powerful question. And Yogesh's question is, how do you manage when you have a lot of people coming your way, a lot of people trying to, grab your time, ask you questions about property, present deals to you, etc., etc. So when you have a flood of people coming your way, how do you make sure that you don't miss anything? How do you make sure you get the value out of the connections that are trying to be made? But side by side with that, how do you also protect your time? Because for me, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, Yogesh. For me, the real heart of your question is around protecting your time and utilizing the opportunities through means of these connections. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Powerful.
Missing good opportunities. But yeah, that's correct.
Powerful. So Yogesh has added without missing good opportunities, and I think that's fantastic. So I'm going to break this down, and I'm just going to share about it from me. And Yogesh started by saying he's sure I'm in that same predicament, and I said I used to be. And the reason I said that is because, again, up until earlier on this year, I was speaking at a number of events every single month across the UK, speaking about property investment, speaking about my journey, speaking about what I do in terms of my sourcing business, how I built my sourcing business, and also speaking about how I help people now in terms of my coaching, my support groups, etc. And the thing that's interesting, Yogesh, I'll give you two bombshells just, to give you the answer before I go into kind of the rationale behind them. But the first one is systemization, like 100% systemization. I'll give you an example. Guys, right now I'm going to throw into the chat a link. Now, this specific link is a link I use and my team use in order to get me booked. So if somebody wants to speak to me, if somebody wants to speak to a member of our team about things that are important to them, they use that link and they book. Now, there's various options. There are various options on that link that people can use. So, for example, to give you an idea, just to go through some of them, one of those options is an investor call. Now, why do we have that option? Well, we have that option because I'm interested in people who are interested in investing with our company at various different levels. People who are investing as low as £10,000 on rent-to-rent opportunities. People who are investing as much as £100,000 or more on development opportunities. The second thing is we also have property inquiry calls because we have people who have properties and they're directed to our organization. So we want people who have a property, they're maybe a distressed person or they've got a challenge with their property, they want to sell their property or offload their property, or they're trying to work out what to do with their property. We want those people to get access to us as well. So how do we create an opportunity for them to do that? Well, we create its own banner topic, property inquiry calls. We also have, additionally, because people want to be coached, we have coaching calls. We have people who say, you know what, I've heard Samuel on the live show, or, way before the live show, it was I heard Samuel at a presentation. And again, for those of you who aren't familiar with kind of a lot of the stuff I've done, go check me out on LinkedIn. On LinkedIn, you'll see the recommendations, over 30 recommendations of people who've engaged and got value. But people will come to presentations, they'll hear me speak, their lives will be impacted effectively, and they'll be like, you know what, I need someone like that in my corner on a regular basis. I need a coach like him. So what would happen is people would say, well, I want Samuel to coach me. How do I get Samuel or a member of his team to coach me? Well, the way is you go through the booking link, impactproperties.co.uk/booking. And you don't choose a property inquiry call if that's you. You don't choose a investor inquiry call if that's you. You choose a coaching call. And obviously the coaching call comes with a fee. I think currently it's 300 and something pounds. So people pay to have 30 minutes of a coaching call where we basically help them strategize through a problem. And then equally, we get people who really want strategy. So those of you who are jumping on this, on the live show, you're jumping on effectively a live strategy call. A strategy call where we open it up and we divvy it into little things. So you don't get a 60-minute strategy call, but you might get 5-10 minute soundbite when someone like Yogesh, for example, is calling in and asking this specific question. So that 5-10 minute soundbite you get of value helps you understand the value in, okay, this is what it's like if I was one of Samuel's coaching students, for example, and I was interested in getting a strategy call and paying whatever the 500 somewhat pounds that people pay for that. So the reason I'm breaking that down is because we have created a way, and again, the key in terms of the first answer to your question, Yogesh, is systemization. We've created a way where we've systemized a sequence for the people coming in to be able to segment themselves into the respective banners. So that's the first point of call. So in terms of your question, Yogesh, how do you protect your time? Okay, but at the same time, how do you not miss the opportunities? Well, it's very clear. The first thing you need to do is systemize that part of your business, systemize that entry point for people. So people, like right now, you might be watching this live show. You might have just seen my link in the chat and you might think, you know what, Samuel's right. I've got a property and I've got a property problem. I need it solved. I'm going to book a property inquiry call. Or you know what, I need a coach. I need a coach like Samuel. I'm going to pay and get a 30-minute coaching call. Or you know what, I want the 1 hour strategy call with Samuel because what I'm going through is really a big dilemma. And you can go and book that right now using that link. Why? Because we've already systemized the process. Now, what is one of the great things about systemizations? One of the great things about systemization, and you're going to like this, Yogesh, because I know that you're similar to me in terms of the whole, when we talk about wealth dynamics anyway, being the still energy, being very analytical, etc. But one of the things that is great about systemization works hand in hand with delegation. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, what I mean by that is the moment we create a system, i.e. people can book a call for coaching, strategy, property inquiries, investor inquiries, we can then start to delegate those off. So I can say, who's our best coach? You know, in our team, who's our best coach? Okay, if that's our best coach, we're going to allocate that coach to the coaching calls that come through our booking system so that people coming through those coaching calls will get the best value for that payment that they're making up front. Same with strategy. Who's the best on our team when it comes to strategy? Okay, that person's going to deal with the majority of those strategy calls. So when people come through and they book those strategy calls, those clients, they're going to get the best level of service we can provide for them through means of that booking, so they know they're getting the value for what they're paying for. Same with property inquiry calls and the same with investor calls. Who's the best person to speak to these people? Okay, is it Lady? Well, if Lady's the best person to speak to these people, then Lady's going to man that aspect of the property inquiry calls because she's endearing and she could talk to people in a way where they start to understand, she's empathetic, etc. Okay, with the investors, who do they need to speak to? And again, this may be different for different investors, but generally we might find that there's a particular person who deals with investor relations better than anyone else. So as a result, we delegate. So the point I'm making is start with systemization, Yogesh, and then systemization will bring you into the opportunity to delegate. Again, that might be to virtual assistants, which is one of the things we've spoken about before, or it might be to other people that you have in your team, okay? So the first answer is systemization. Now the second answer, you might not believe this, but I'm going to throw this out there. What did I do? You know, and what have I mentioned every single episode of the Impact Show? We're now in episode 34. What do I mention every single episode? How we started the Impact Show. We started this show because of people's needs. You know, I know, and this is just me being transparent. When I started in my property journey, I was not going to go and pay someone £550 for 60 minutes of their time. I'm being transparent, guys. You might be watching this and thinking, so how come Samuel charges for 60 minutes, £550? I'm going to tell you why. Because when I started my property journey and where I am now in my property journey, I clearly understand that I had no respect for people's time. And I say it really rudely, but guys, it's the fact. Like, I look back at the old me in 2004, 2005, and I realized that I wished, I thought, I assumed everything should just be handed to me. I assumed that, oh, you can get all of that information on the internet. Let me tell you one thing you cannot get on the internet. On the internet, you cannot get personalization. Okay? And let me put it this way, personalization is worth every single pence, pound, dollar, yen, euro that you can pay. I guarantee you that. Because when you speak to the right person about your situation can change. And what many of us do, what I used to do, so guys, this is not on you, this is on me. What I used to do in 2004, 2005, when I wanted to really start learning about property, is I used to assume that because this person was saying this is how you do this strategy, that is how I could do the strategy. Now, the funniest thing is, if that person starts the video, for example, or the blog post, or we used to have ebooks and e-manuals. So I'd read e-manuals about how to invest in property years ago. And the funny thing is, if the e-manual starts with a statement like, all you need to do this strategy is £100,000, in 2005, that strategy instantly becomes inaccessible to me. So I might have paid £50 for that e-manual, got to the first line and realized I can't use this yet because I don't have £100,000 in my account at that date. Okay, and this may be the same for you, and this is where the power of personalization comes in. Now, that same guy who wrote the e-manual, imagine if I sat down with him for 60 minutes and said to him, look, Mark, this is my situation. Look, Mike, this is my situation. Look, Samuel, this is my situation. Look, Paul, this is my situation. Look, Dave, look, Suzanne, look, Susie, look, James, whoever it is, this is my situation. This is where I'm starting from. That gives that person an opportunity to do the one thing that we do on this show every single week, the one thing I do with my coaching clients every single call, the one thing I do with my coaching clients every single module, which is solve their specific problem. And this is something that is a dying art in our society, not just in property, but in everything, where people are no longer solving people's specific problems. They're just solving, ambiguous problems. And solving ambiguous problems doesn't solve the problem for you. So this is why this is very, very important. So Yogesh, first thing I'd say is systemize. Second thing I'd say is look at what we're doing right now. We just make ourselves more available in a way that people can hopefully more respect our time. So now when we go live once a week, we've chosen to do that. If we choose to stop, we'll choose to stop. If we choose to continue, we will choose to continue. But it's on our terms. We show up to do the 60-minute, 70-minute, 2-hour, whatever time period we want to invest in this process. But we show up to do that. And because we show up and we set it up, those people who want the value will show up, like yourself, Yogesh. This is why week in, week out, you're on the show. KTR, again, another regular viewer. This is why she's on the show. This is why people tune in. Okay, people tune in because they realize, hold on, there's value there. And if you're like the Samuel of 2005, I'm not going to pay £550 because I don't value it that much, but I'll pay the 2 hours. I'll pay the 1 hour, show up, ask a few questions, get a few answers, which again, I'm going to add, are personalized. Okay, but the only difference is we don't get the extended time to really create a strategy for you personally to move forward, but we can give you the insights and the answers where you can now use them and work on it yourself. So those will be the two answers I'd give you, Yogesh, if you are trying to protect your time, if you are trying to, thank you ever so much in the chat for the update. If you are trying to protect your time, if you're trying to put yourself in a predicament where you can get even more value from the herds of people that are coming your way, but at the same time, you want to also sift people because there are a lot of time wasters, specifically in the property field. I can tell you that the best way to basically do that is first create a system, and secondly, make yourself more available on your own terms. And hopefully that will help you, Yogesh. Does that answer the question? Go for it.
WhatsApp messages.
Yep.
I'm members of a few WhatsApp groups, and there is some valuable information amongst the details and levels, but it does take a long time to sift through it. I don't know if you worked out a way to get the important bits from WhatsApp groups and WhatsApp messages, or is that something you delegate out?
That's powerful. That's powerful. So guys, again, I've just been told by one of our team, our video moderators, that unfortunately you guys apparently can't hear Yogesh. So I'm just going to break down what Yogesh just asked. So Yogesh basically asked an add-on question to his last question. And he basically said, when we talk about things like WhatsApp groups, excuse me, he says, when we talk about things like WhatsApp groups, how do you now manage WhatsApp groups so you can get the value out of those WhatsApp groups, but at the same time, not necessarily end up being entrenched with all of the information overload. And Yogesh was saying that, you know, there's a lot of good information in the WhatsApp groups, but at the same time, how do you protect your time again and not end up being swamped in those WhatsApp groups? Yogesh then summarized and said, do you delegate that out as well? Now, I would say this, and again, most people, they're not able to do this, but I'd say this. First thing you need to do with the WhatsApp groups is you need to understand why you're in the group. And I'm going to be very transparent. Lots of people are in groups that they don't need to be in. Okay. And if you don't need to be in the group, get out of the group, because it's better. And again, I teach this with property. I talk about it all the time. It's really important to me. Quality is so much more powerful than quantity. There are people I know. Okay. There are people I know. And I'm going to say this again. There are people I know who have triple the amount of properties that I have control of or own. Okay. But in terms of their monthly cash flow, it's less than what I generate. Okay. There are people I know who have double the amount of properties than I have control of or own. But in terms of their income and cash flow, it's less than what I generate. Why is that the case? And I'm going to tell you why that's the case. It's simple, because they may have focused on quantity when I, for a very long time, have focused on quality. And this is one of the reasons that I do HMOs. And guys, those of you who know me know that's the reality. One of the reasons I do HMOs is not because, oh, I like the stress. Oh, I like guys, I'll show you, the stress of HMOs is real. I'll tell you this. Today, okay? Today, I received this very morning, roughly around 8 a.m., I received a message that one of the tenants in one of our HMOs has recently got symptoms of COVID. Like, you don't ever want that message. But the point is, that's part and parcel of dealing with HMOs. Now, that particular person lives in a HMO with 6 residents. So there are 5 people that now have to be informed that there's a person in the house who's self-isolating, etc., etc. Guys, let me tell you, this is stress you don't want. You already know when I've said it, it's stress you don't want. But why am I bringing this up? Because I want you to understand, regardless of the fact it's stress I don't want, I am a strong believer that I am paid accordingly to have that level of stress versus a person who has one house, okay, generates £200 on that house a month and would need 6 of the same houses in order to generate what I generate on the 1 6-bedroom HMO. Okay, so this is what I'm saying to you. You've got to ask yourself, if you had 6 single lets with 6 different families, are you telling me one of them couldn't message you and say, oh, this is the situation? Yes, they could. Okay, so for me, I feel as though operating a 1 HMO unit, one house, for example, is a lot more time time wise, if I use that, if that's a word, but it's a lot more time sensitive and a lot more time wise. You're utilizing wisdom more doing that. So that's me. So with the groups with WhatsApp, the first thing I'd say is there's a lot of groups you don't need to be in. So get out of those groups. That's the first thing. The second thing, we got Osei Kimwin who says in the chat, always in the shoe. And I assume he's saying to Yogesh, he's in the same shoes, he's in the same boat. A lot of WhatsApp groups that he's in as well. How does he manage it? So the first thing I'd say, again, I've said it already, the first thing I'd say is get out of the groups you don't need to be in. The second thing, which is I've alluded to, but I'll say it as a principle for you guys to see it, is understand why you're in the specific group you're in. So I'll give you an example. I want you guys to understand this. One of the groups I'm in is effectively, it's like a mastermind group. Every single person in that group is a successful property investor. And one of the things that happens from time to time, and again, obviously everyone is in that group for different reasons. Most of the people in that group are in that group to find it as a hub to ask questions for help, etc., etc. Again, guys, this is shameless, but I'm just going to tell you the reality. Okay, the purpose I'm in that group is to build my contact base of trade people, development builders, etc. People that I can use and work with to advance what I'm doing in property. Okay, so what do? Well, in that group, anytime I see someone ask a question and ask for a referral, and then that referral is basically shared in the group via a contact or via their details, I will screenshot that detail. I have not contacted the person. I will screenshot it. Why? Because now I have a record of this person who does this in this area. Okay, and that's one of the things I've done for years in specific groups where that is the reason I'm in the group. Now, I'm not in the group for social talk. I'm not in the group for this or for that. So I don't do that in the group because I'm not there for that. But you can't do that if you don't know why you're in the group. The next thing is delegation as well. You alluded to this, Yogesh, and I will bring it up because it's something I do as well. Delegation. You might have certain groups, like groups with your tenants, where you have other people in your team in those groups. And those people who are in your team manage that group effectively, and you're just in that group to say you're in the group. So you can oversee what's going on. So hopefully that helps you as well, Yogesh, in terms of the WhatsApp groups. Like I said, 3 things I've thrown out there. First thing, just think about whether you should be in the group or not. If not, get out of the group. Second thing, consider how you can effectively get what you're trying to get out of the group by being focused on what you're in the group for. And then the third thing, like you mentioned anyway, look at how you can delegate that to someone else as well. Yeah? Is that helpful, Yogesh?
Yeah. I need to think about that very carefully. That will help me save you. So when you're right, a lot of groups you don't really get much out of. So you should really just cut out those out from your life and concentrate on the ones
I totally agree with that.
that give you benefit. Yeah.
I totally agree with that.
Fully help.
Most welcome, Yogesh. Always great to have you on the show, and thank you for calling in. And guys, you might not have heard what Yogesh said at the end of the call. He was just basically saying that he really needs to take some time to consider exactly what we've shared, because he's found that there are a lot of WhatsApp groups where he doesn't get much value out of them. And guys, look, that's the reality. Okay, that's the reality. It's not just WhatsApp groups. What do we do nearly every single week, nearly every single episode? We're talking about newspaper articles, media, things that media are saying. Why? Because a lot of the things that the media say you don't get value out of, because it's not created to give you value. It's created to basically confuse or to take your time, or etc, etc, etc. So let's jump off that anyway. Forget the negativity. But guys, again, feel free, take advantage, and move forward in your property journey by understanding why you're doing what you're doing and pushing forward with that. Now, let's jump back into the chat. Let me share with you guys our free resource for tonight's show as well, and then I'll jump back into the chat in a moment, because I know we had a question from KTR. I believe we actually even had another question from Yogesh. So there's quite a few questions that were still in to be answered, and I'm happy to go through those answers as well. I think the team's probably shut down the phone line for now, but I'm not 100% certain. But again, if you're trying to call in, feel free to try and call in, and you probably might still get through. So just quickly, our free resource and our key resource for tonight's show is the 7 best books for your property investing success. One of the things you may not understand or know is that the majority of these books you can actually get for free. So use this link use this link right here, www.impactproperties.co.uk/book list, and go and get your guide, the 7 best books for property investing success. That is a resource that will radically help you move forward in your property journey, regardless of where you are right now. So take full advantage of that and utilize that as you move forward. So let me jump into the chat and see what other questions came through. Okay, powerful. So Yogesh wrote another question. His question was, let's see if we can throw that on the screen quickly. Yogesh's question was, any tips on quickly analyzing property deals in areas he's not familiar with, i.e. confirming its true market value and rental value and build cost? What I would say, Yogesh, and I think you've seen this, I think we spoke about this before, but definitely go and watch the YouTube video, which I did as the thank you to our subscribers when we hit 100 or when we hit 50. I believe that video is called property comparables property comparables done properly, I believe is the name of that video. I could be wrong, but that's something like the title. But if you just jump on our YouTube channel, impactproperties.co.uk/YouTube, impactproperties.co.uk/YouTube. That's impactproperties.co.uk/YouTube. When you jump on our YouTube channel, just click videos, and just as you scroll down, there's a video which is called, I believe it's property comparables done properly. That specific video, right at the end, I give 3 extra hacks on what you can do in order to very quickly analyze property deals. And what I would say is the professionals I talk about at the end of that video, utilize them for exactly the answer to your question, Yogesh. So I would say to you, Yogesh, to definitely go watch that video. That video is going to help you massively. All right, let's see what else is in the chat. Return on investment. All right, so KTR's question, the question I was looking for. KTR says, hi Samuel, what do you think about flipping in the current climate as a strategy? I think first and foremost, your question is an amazing question, and I think you've asked that question at the right time. If I'm going to be very, very transparent with you, KTR. Now, this is what I'm going to say. Do I think flipping right now is a good strategy? My answer is, and please listen to the whole of this, guys, because if you don't listen to the whole of this, you're not going to understand exactly what I'm talking about. Every component of what I'm about to explain is relevant to my answer to this question. And again, side by side, if you've got any value from this show so far, hit the like button. Let YouTube know that this content is of value. Now, KTR, to answer your question, the first answer is yes, if you are flipping your own home. Okay, now most people will be like, what is this guy talking about? Listen, I'm going to say it again. Yes, if you are flipping your own home. Now, again, let's start from the basics, because I'm aware that sometimes we get viewers who are brand new to property. They have no idea what we're talking about. So the strategy of property flipping, again, this is one of the strategies we talk about in the 30 Ways in 30 Days program. Now, flipping property is the strategy where you buy a property, you may renovate that property to restore the value or to add value, and then you sell that property for the capital gain, for the margin you are going to make. Now, if you are buying a new home for yourself and your family, and you then renovate that home whilst you live in it, and then sell that property on for the capital appreciation and capital gain, in this current climate, I would say to you, yes, that is a good strategy in this current climate. But if you're doing what traditionally has been done, which is you're buying a house with the sole purpose to refurbish it, get it ready and sell it, unless you are buying that property significantly below its market value, I would not advise you to do that in this current climate. Now, the big question that should come now is why? Samuel, why did you say that? Why do you think that? And here it goes. The reason I'd say that is because if you guys were tuned into last week's show, episode 33, or the show before, episode 32, one of the things which came up, which is very important, is the current consultation being held by the same gentleman we spoke about earlier, Rishi Sunak, on the changes to capital gains tax. Okay, so right now, as we speak, there are changes being thought about, being considered, being advised on for people who are selling property to generate a capital gain. Now, for me personally, what I would say to you is you want to get to a place where that has passed, where you have a better understanding of what's taking place with that before you start using flips as a strategy. And the reason they're doing it is because they know what they're doing. Look, I was gonna talk about this throughout tonight's show, so I'm actually quite grateful that KTR asked this as a question, because it allows me to touch on it, even though I'm not going to deep dive into it. But here's what I'm going to touch on. 2 years ago, Section 24 was announced, and Section 24 started rolling out. Now, Section 24, for those of you who do not know, were the tax changes implemented by the government, which basically made most landlords have to, well, it meant that most landlords would reduce their current income from their property investment because of the tax implications that were made through their changes. All right. Now, I'm not going to go too much into that. Like we've said, go seek a legal advice if you need that, or accounting financial advice if you need that. But the reason I bring this up is because I want you to understand, if you make tax changes which only affect the people who buy and hold, i.e. the landlords, those tax changes may not necessarily affect the people who buy, refurbish and sell, okay, which are the developers, the investors, the flippers, whatever you want to call them. Now, KTR's question is beautiful because it fits right in to the government's plan to get everybody, okay? And I'm not saying it in a negative sense. I'm just saying it because that's how it works, okay? So the government have implemented Section 24, which has an effect on recouping funds through means of investors who buy and hold. And now, in this current climate, when people would assume that you're not going to be making such changes, the government are now talking about changes they want to make for people who do buy and sell. So the capital gains changes are changes that are going to affect people that are flipping as a strategy. Now, why do I say, if you're looking at doing this for your own home, it's a good idea? First reason is because how we're taxed on our own homes when we buy, refurbish and sell them is different to how we're taxed on homes we buy solely for the purpose of refurbishing and selling. So I want you to understand that how we're taxed is different on those two entities. So as a byproduct of being taxed differently on those two entities, it means we should be mindful that there may be a benefit in doing that on our own home. If I'm going to move house, move into a bigger house or move into a similar house, and I want to fully spec out my house, build out the garden, do a loft conversion, whatever, and sell that on. And I know I'm going to get the value because I've maybe held it for a long time, or because I'm forcing appreciation through means of the developments I'm adding onto it. Then I would say that's a good move in this current climate, more so than buying a house with the purpose to refurbish it and sell it where I'm not going to live in it during that period. So that's my take on it. Again, I'm open to people having a different view. There's nothing wrong with having a different view, but that's just my take on the current climate. If it's your own property, go for it. Or the other caveat I said, again, if you're one of my coaching clients, I can go into that strategy more with you. But if you're buying considerably below market value, and I'm going to say it again because I really, really mean this, guys. If you are buying considerably below market value, I'm not talking about, £100,000 house you're getting for 97,000, which is what many people think is considerably below market value. But if you are buying a property considerably below market value, then I would say to you, yes, this could be something to consider, because in that predicament, you'd be in a great position to recuperate the hit that may come as a result of tax changes, etc., etc., etc. So KTR, I hope that answers your question. Let me know in the chat. Give us our star rating: 5-star answer, 4-star answer, 3-star answer, 2-star answer, 1-star answer, no star answer. Let us know in the chat. Side by side with that, Yogesh, same for you. I think it was 2 questions we answered, 3 questions in total, probably because you asked more than one on the call. But let us know as well, Yogesh, what your thoughts are, your star rating on that particular question: 5-star, 4-star, 3-star, 2-star, or 1-star. Actually, it was 4 questions. Yes, it was 4 questions, because you had the one on the 10%, you had the one on the comparables done quickly, or the video that I referred to, comparables done quickly, and then the 2 you called in. So guys, let us know in the chat what your thoughts are in terms of the answers that you guys received to your specific questions, both Yogesh and KTR. How many stars you'd rate that answer, because that answer is for you. So guys, as I mentioned previously, I'm going to mention it again. We've got this resource for you. Go get the key resource, www.impactproperties.co.uk/book list. That book list is the 7 best books for you to basically magnify your property success in this year and beyond. And guys, you might be like, this is the last month of this year, how can I do that this year? Guys, I guarantee you, if you know the right information, you can change things in your life, and these books are the kind of books that can help you to do so. Side by side with that, guys, if you want me to write a book, let me know, please. Let me know in the chat. Do you think Samuel Kimwin should write a property book in order to help the community move forward? All right, it's something I've mulled on, but again, I don't like doing things for the sake of doing things. I don't like doing things because other people do things. But guys, if it would add value to you, if you're the kind of person who would read a 200-300 page book that I would put together, basically breaking down strategy, or an insight into how you can level up in property, let me know in the chat if you would get value from that, because I'm happy to do it, guys. I'm happy to help the community. I'm here to serve, and the best way to serve is to ask questions and give people what they need / what they want. So go and get this resource right here, the key resource for you guys tonight, the 7 best books for your property investing success, and allow that resource to basically help you move forward in your property investing journey. Now, side by side with all of this, guys, we've overstayed our welcome tonight. We've done way over 60 minutes, but it's all good. We love you, but we also have to leave you. So I'm going to encourage you guys to do 2 things. The first thing is go and watch this video if you haven't seen it already. This is the key video to understanding what comes first, property deals or investors. Guys, go and watch that. Too many people who are trying to invest ask me questions: Samuel, should I be trying to get investors or should I be looking at deals? This video is going to give you the answer to that. And side by side of that, when you jump off this show, go and watch one of our last shows in terms of our live streams, where we answer people's questions and help people move forward in their property investing journey. Guys, this is what we are here for. KTR, I see your comment, 7 stars, very helpful. Yogesh, I see your comment, 100 stars and special medal. I love that. KTR says, yes, you should totally, with all your knowledge. And I assume KTR is talking about writing a book. Guys, look, we are here for you. We want to help you. We want to help you move forward by giving you guys what you need in order to move forward. So guys, I'm going to love you and leave you. This is Samuel Ikimwin. I'm here next week, 6 p.m. Saturday with another live show. Bring your questions. No question too big, too small. And as I usually say, happy investing. See you on the next one, guys.